Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Now, as I said just before we went to the break, this week could be independence for Greece on July the 5th. But as we're leading up to that referendum that's going to be held in Greece as to whether or not they're going to go with the payment plan that's being put to them by the banks, that will essentially be a referendum as to whether or not they want to stay in the EU as well. At the same time this is all going on, of course, the rest of the European press is painting them as irresponsible, as profligate, as people who are basket cases, welfare cases. Nevertheless, they want them desperately to stay in because we understand what this is about. This is a giant reverse mortgage, and they're not finished getting their hooks into the Greek people yet. There's still some more stuff that they can loot if they can keep them in there long enough. Very much like the kinds of contradictory information that we're hearing on these trade agreements, where we're told this is going to be a great deal for us. The economy is going to boom. America desperately needs this. That's the same thing every government is telling their people while they keep the agreement secret. Because if it really was a good deal, they would show us. But every one of us are going to get screwed with this because this is for the benefit of the large banks and the multinational corporations. Again, Daily Mail comes in and says, the big fat Greek gravy train, a special investigation into the EU-funded culture of greed, tax, evasion, and scandalous waste, making the point that they have a very large welfare state. And yes, there is a lot of waste there. It is by design. Remember what Cloward and Piven said. They wanted to create a massive entitlement state so that they could use that to collapse the country and then establish socialism, and also for the bankers to take all of the assets after the collapse. Of course, we've also seen this with the World Bank in the 1960s, where they were accused of rent-seeking because they were going to all these third world countries and telling them to set up a very elaborate welfare system. Don't worry, we'll finance it for you. Easy payment plan, just like you do with a kid right out of college, giving them a credit card account. And then, of course, the whistle was blown on all that back in 2002 with Joe Stiglitz, who worked for the World Bank. We talked about this yesterday on the radio, how in 2002, Greg Palast talked about his interview and documents that he had about the World Bank, about the IMF, his interviews with Joe Stiglitz. He did that on the Alex Jones Show, and of course, there was a transcript of that put into Alex's 2002 book, 9/11, Descent into Tyranny. And if you're a Prison Planet subscriber, you can download that and read the PDF copy of that book as well. This is a known strategy. This is the way they've been working. We showed that 13 years ago, and it went on long before that. As I pointed out, that was a strategy back in the 1960s for the World Bank. So to complain about Greece and saying it's a big, fat Greek gravy train, at the same time, the BBC comes out and says, the Greek debt crisis, no vote won't lead to a better deal. This is the best deal you guys are going to get. So there's a massive campaign, both by the people who are the leaders of the EU finance groups, the finance ministers, everyone else, to tell them, go ahead, take some more debts. We'll keep extending and pretending, as Max Kaiser pointed it out. A different editorial comes from from USA Today. They say it's no tragedy if the Greeks leave the Eurozone, in their view. They say a return to the drachma would allow Greece to be Greece. They say the answer lies in the peculiar collection of nations known as the Eurozone. These countries share a monetary system, but not a political one, which is a recipe for trouble. Do you see that? That's the fundamental issue right there. And that's why these crises are happening right now in the Eurozone. We've already had Alan Greenspan, former head of the Fed here in the United States, as well as the head of PIMCO, the largest bondholder in the world, saying that the only way this is fundamentally going to be solved is if the European nations surrender their sovereignty to the center. Crisis, solution. That's what they had planned all along. And of course, USA Today sees that as well. They understand that you can't have a non-political, non-sovereign union and yet have a monetary one at the same time. That creates a problem. Their answer is for Greece to leave. That would be my answer as well. That's the answer that many people have said. Of course, Joe Stiglitz as well, who was the whistleblower as to what these international finance organizations were up to. They say the answer is yes. Greece would have more control over its money they should leave. They should just be Greece. And of course, in Greece, we see the Greek government who wants the people to make this decision. Of course, they put it up as a referendum. The Greek finance minister says that if they vote yes to accept the deal that is being offered by the Euro bankers. In a trio of articles from RT, they look at how politicians are reacting to this. And of course, the Greek finance minister says, I would rather cut off my arm than agree to the current deal. He says if they vote yes in this referendum coming up on July 5th, he will resign. And the Green Party MP says that it is economically deluded, that the Troika wants to punish the party that's in power in Greece, the Syriza party. She says Greece's government debt to GDP ratio has not gone down as austerity was imposed. It actually went up. In other words, the austerity that they have tried has actually made this worse. It's not going to help for them to do more of the same thing. It's just going to get them further and further in debt to the bankers who will use that to take all of their assets. She says they seek to humiliate and to defeat a government which has dared to stand up to the ideology of austerity. And another quote from her. She said they want to entirely strip down the Greek state and refashion it as a servant of capital rather than of people. No, it's not. And of course, they're coming at it from kind of a leftist standpoint. It's not making it a servant of capital. It's not even a problem of capitalism. It is crony capitalism. Crony capitalism is not a free market situation. It is actually a plan for global governance by these multinational corporations and the banks, the same ones that are pushing these trade partnerships. Finally, RT says it looks like Greeks will vote yes over bailout terms. These are polls, and this is the same sort of thing, however, we saw before the referendum in Scotland on independence. They create these polls. These are essentially can be used as push polls to try to move people in that direction or to create an anticipation for the result that they have already decided and will make happen. Now, they point out this poll was conducted by BNP Paribas. They say that is France's largest bank. Oh, no conflict of interest in that poll at all, right? The arguments in favor of a yes vote grow every minute the ATM machines don't dispense money. Funny how that works out. Of course, you create a liquidity process problem, and then they have to shut down the ATMs and wait a few days. So that effect sinks in on the people, essentially holding a gun to their head. We'll see who controls the voting machines, because that's the next thing we have to worry about. Not who controls the ATM machines, but the voting machines on July 5th.
I want to make this announcement now. It's going up as we speak, a day early.
To celebrate the birth of our country and give a big thanks to all the info warriors out there, we are now offering free shipping on every item shipped out of the InfowarsStore.com warehouse. That's free shipping on all t-shirts, books, and DVDs. Free shipping on Molon Labe and 1776 belt buckles, which are also 25% off while supplies last. Free shipping on all of our InfowarsLife.com nutraceuticals. If it's in the InfowarsStore.com warehouse, it's shipping for free, all during the month of July. It's our way of saying thanks to the true heart and soul of this operation, who stand beside us and support us as we wage an info war for liberty and freedom for all. InfowarsStore.com, free shipping for the month of July. We celebrate the 4th of July as a reminder of earning our independence from a tyrannical and oppressive government. Just a reminder to the Obama administration, there's plenty of room on the calendar for another holiday.